Okay.
Okay, let's start with roll call. Crystal Ford.
Chanel Roth.
Malcolm Walden.
Chase Randall.
Eric Niven.
Julie Bruff.
And then we got Berna.
Berna Sloan.
Yep, Berna. And then Crystal Larma will be here shortly. And then Melody and Melody will are both excused.
All right. For reports, I assume we do not have a city council report.
Yep, not this
Okay.
time.
So let's go to the library report.
Okay. All right. So big announcement is all of you have the summer reading flyer. And that's coming up fast. May 27th it starts. You can go into Beanstack and you record your minutes. Both minutes read and listened to for audiobooks count. I just spent like over $4,000 on prizes. So sign up and get involved and you can win some cool stuff and obviously most importantly read some books. So I love what the program staff have done with the library. If you can walk around you can see the nice carnival theme.
I noticed that.
Just out of curiosity,
Yes.
where did the name Beanstalk Stack come from?
That's just the name of the app. I think it's like counting beans, like so you can count your tickets and minutes.
It's not just local, it's more of a national.
Yeah, it's a company. It's an application that you can and a website, so you can just log in on the web too. The other big thing that we've done since our last meeting is we went through and we cleaned up and deleted all of our old delinquent accounts. So people that owed the library money for whatever reason, we went and cleaned those up. So going back to 2011, I think it was something like almost $200,000 worth of overdue fines and fees.
How much?
$200,000 worth of people that didn't return their books and never paid for them and all that stuff. So.
When you say cleaned up, did you collect or just write
So
them off
we
of the
just
books? Or?
deleted them off the records. So we're following the same retention schedule that the city has for their delinquent like utility accounts. They keep 4 years plus the current year. So if it gets older than that, we just delete it.
Hang your books alone.
Staff news is we are fully staffed. No staff issues. I don't see any of our staff potentially leaving. We've now had a stable staff for 9 months. We haven't had anybody quit, so knock on wood. Because last time we had 200 applications.
For one position?
For one position as a part-time librarian.
Oh.
200, yeah. We set a new city record for most applications for an open job.
Wow.
So
What is the total staff now?
we're 15 of us, counting myself. So, all right. So updates on our building and grant project updates. So the library canopy project in the back is almost done. I put on here that it's finished, but it's not quite finished. They were putting on the support beams for the top, and they accidentally damaged one of the steel things, so they have to replace that. So I'm hoping they have until the end of the month to get it done. So I'm really hoping they get done before summer reading starts so we can have that book drop back again. I know that's been inconvenient for patrons to drop off their books, but once it's all said and done, I'm actually adding another mini book, a littler book drop right next to it, so it has increased capacity. So we're looking forward to that. Also, the north side has now been fully converted to Waterwise landscaping, and my plan is this next fiscal year to then do the north side of the parking lot as well. So hopefully, depending on how many projects the mayor approves, we're going to xeriscape almost everything. Yeah, so across the parking lot before you get to the condos that are right there, that's that strip.
The new orange brick out there is certainly eye-catching.
Yeah,
It
yeah, that was what I was going to talk about next. Yeah, so the stamped concrete project out there is completed. So we tore out all the grass and put in the stamped concrete, and we're going to have the Buffalo unveiling, sponsored by Chartway Credit Union, on Monday the 19th at 10:30 a.m. So there's supposed to be a band. The CEO of Chartway is going to be there apparently, and I guess I'll be giving remarks. I was just informed, so I'll have a little spiel to say. May 19th. Yep. So this Monday. So this Monday at 10:30 a.m. If you want to come by, you can. I wouldn't feel obligated to come though. But it'll be fun. We'll have our own buffalo, and then on the other two concrete pads there, we're going to get picnic tables and a garbage can sometime in July. So that's coming as well.
Have you seen the buffalo yet?
I've not.
I'm curious.
I'm
Like,
curious
they're
to
so
see.
fun.
Yeah, no, we'll see what it looks
Do
like.
you know what the
Yeah.
theme of it will be, or is it just going
I
to
was sent an email months ago, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's something about the Great Salt Lake, like the Salt Flats,
Oh, that's cool.
if I remember correctly. Anyway, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So we have a desiccated buffalo.
So yep, and we've got the summer reading program. I'd refer you to the handout. If I listed all the events, it would take a little while. But yeah, we're really excited for our summer reading program, and the Friends of the Library donated $4,000 for our summer reading program. So when you buy books from the bookstore here, the Friends of the Library bookstore, that does go back right into the library to help fund our summer reading. So today we're going to be reviewing 3 policy proposals: the library card policy, the community room and reading room policy, and the internet access policy. So there we go. Any questions?
Okay. Next, we have our public comment period. All right. Discussion items. Non-resident fee amount.
So this discussion is currently, if you do not live in Tooele City, live or own property or a business in Tooele City, you have to pay $30 a year to have a library card. And the way I assume this was changed 10 years ago, so back in 2015 is when that amount was up from $20 to $30 per year per person. So what I am proposing, and I just wanted to loop you guys into this discussion, is to up that to 40. And the reason being is if you pull out your calculators, you don't have to, but I'm just going to talk you through it. I have a budget that's about $1.35 million. So $1,350,000, give or take a little bit. The budget for fiscal year 26 has not been finalized quite yet, but that's about roughly what it's going to be. So if you take that amount and you divide it by the 40,000 residents that we have here in Tooele City, you get $33.75. So if we were to label each individual resident is paying $33.75 of their property taxes goes to the library. Now, that's not necessarily that's one way that you can calculate your non-resident fee. You can also calculate it by household, because that's how you're taxed, right, is by a household size. So we have about 11,000 households in the, individual units, you could say, in the city. So if I were to do my budget divided by that, the amount would actually be $122. So some libraries charge by the household versus individual. So for example, if you try to get a Salt Lake County library card, they're going to charge you $180. But that card is good for up to 4 people, usually is how it works. So that tells you that $180 of your property taxes in Salt Lake County go to the library specifically, or something close to that, I would assume. I don't know their budget. So when I looked at that number, I realized, so we're now at the point where technically the Tooele City residents are subsidizing the non-resident cards, because the true cost of the card is technically $33.75, but we're only charging non-residents $30. I don't want to move to the household cost. I can see why some libraries do it, but I prefer the individual, because I don't want to have to pay for me and my family if none of them are going to use the card, right? If I'm just going to be the one to use the card. So I'm going to keep it as the individual, but I want to raise it up to 40. And the reason being, so that way when people come in from Erda or Stansbury and hey, I'd like to get a card, we can say, hey, it's $40. That's about what you pay if you're a Tooele City resident. Go ahead.
About how many non-residents use the library? Do you have a count on that?
So last I checked, we had about 900. So a decent a non-trivial amount. I think that comes out to maybe 8% of our card holders. So because we have about 10,000, 11,000 active card holders. So,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question.
Yes.
Would it be possible to offer both options so that if somebody had a household, it comes out to be kind of a discount?
I agree. I think you should have both options.
That's a good idea. So that we could, because I guess, let me think that through for a second. Because the issue with doing it that way is I don't think I would get clearance from the finance department to offer a discount, because the cost would have to be the same either way. Like we can't do like, oh, buy 4, get one free, or right? Like,
Right.
well,
But if you had
Or-
multiple people in a household that wanted one,
Yeah, or you could say like a family of 4 or more.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like a family of four for $100.
It's less than everybody.
yeah, because like for example, when I discussed with the finance director about working with maybe like ERDA and saying, hey, what would it take for ERDA to get cards for free? Well, and the finance director literally was like, well, just the same formula of what it costs you for each of our residents. Take the total number of residents of ERDA and divide the library budget. And so I don't, so, because you're right, technically that would be beneficial, right? Because then if we're bringing in a whole family, but the cost per person would still have to be that $40. So
Yeah.
I think,
Well,
I don't,
One household use one library card usually, like if you have kids. My
Yeah,
kids are all using my
yeah.
card.
not in
Yeah.
my house.
All of mine.
We have
but I
some
just,
cards.
When they
yeah,
get
we
older,
have, I mean, technically my kids have their own cards, but.
no, but I get what
like,
you're
when
saying, yeah.
started, I had one
Theoretically,
card
you
used
could
for
just
my
have
whole
the
family.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and so that's where, because I think just doing that dual thing, it would just make more sense to stay as the individual, because then I don't want to confuse people. But you're right, if I was running it like a business, right?
Yes.
If I was purely concerned with profit motive, right? Yes, that would be something I would do. But since the main goal here is to ensure that Tooele City residents are not subsidizing non-residents. In fact, if anything, it should be slightly the reverse, right? Not a lot, but slightly. And that's what I think that this achieves. So I don't think it would fly with the finance director or the mayor on that because of that reason, based on those previous discussions I've had. But great question, though.
Okay.
So with the 40, let's talk about what that 40 means. So why I chose 40 was, let's say that my budget over the next 2 or 3 years, we get up to $1.5 million. So if we're at $1.5 million, and let's say we're about maybe 41,000 residents, right? That's $36.50. Well, let's say even if we go up to $2 million, I go up to $2 million, and let's say we're at, by then, like 43,000. It would be at that point that we'd then have to start talking about upping it even more, because at that point we'd be at $45.
So that's going to cover you for quite a few years.
So the
to
goal-
stay at that $40.
Yes, the goal of the $40 change is that this conversation doesn't have to happen for another 10 years. Because that's how long ago it was changed from 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, it was $2.
So
But-
in order to do this, it just has to be passed here. It doesn't have to be passed by the city council.
So technically, it doesn't have to be passed by you guys at all. It is only the city council. But I wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
discuss it with the
Okay.
board as
Because
a,
it's financial budget.
yes, because it's a finance, it affects the budget. It's by the city council. This is just a discussion, so you guys are aware, and I wanted your feedback.
So that is $40 per adult
Well, or kid
Card.
or kid.
per card. Yeah. So
So-
if you're
There's no discount for a toddler or a youth. Just-
no, they can come in and
Can't we do 40 for an adult, 35 for kids then?
No.
well, because since the math we're doing is per person, it does that we don't make that distinction. So because a junior card, the only difference between like a kid's card and an adult card is the kid's card has to have someone guaranteeing the card. It has to have an adult saying, hey, if this book falls in a river, I will pay for it. So, and this would not be retroactive, it would just be looking ahead. So any new non-residents that came in, or when they renewed their card, they would then pay the $40 rather than $30.
With an effective date of approximately,
Whenever the June 4th, the next city council meeting. So, okay. Any
How
other?
often do they have to renew a card?
Once a year. Once a year. No, and then so I looked up a bunch of other libraries, so like similar sizes as us. So Spanish Fork, I think theirs was like $110. Pleasant Grove was $90. What was it? Highland? No. Saratoga Springs was $80. So we're actually like our budget compared to we're actually doing really well, and that's been one of my focuses is to continue optimizing the budget. And we've got several other things lined up that's really going to save us money this next year as well, because then we switch to the new catalog, and those cost savings kick in this next fiscal year. So I'm really excited for that. Any other questions, concerns, or items to discuss with this one? Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
didn't it also change so that it could be anybody in the state, not just the county?
So yep, so that's the next
Oh, okay.
item of discussion. So next item is the library card policy. So this is the library card policy, and the change that I'm proposing is, in the old policy, it stated that for you to have a library card here at the Tooele City Library, you had to live in either the county or the city. But I asked around the staff, I asked the city attorney, and there was no real reason for why are we limiting it to just the county. I can think that part of the logic is it's like that, well, if you're, well, like, why would you want, like, why should we give a card to someone in St. George, for example, to check out a book? Like, how are they going to return it? Like, but since we've had so much more e-content, right? We've got Canopy to stream movies and TV shows. We got Libby, and those resources. For me, I'm like, if you want to give us money, and I'm making sure that I'm charging you the fair price, why not? So that's where this comes in, that essentially, according to my agreement with the Beehive Consortium for Libby, though, they do have to be a resident of Utah. We can't give cards to non-residents of Utah, according to my agreement with the state library. So in this section, in section 1.0, essentially just I'm removing that distinction about county residents and just simply stating, if you live in Tooele City, you can get a card free of charge, or if you own property or a business in Tooele City. However, if you live in Utah but outside of Tooele City, then you just have to pay the $40 a year. So. And then that's the only change, and then just a couple grammar fixes, and then in section 9, just saying, yeah, if you're a Tooele City employee, doesn't matter if you live in Wendover, you can still get a card. That's part of your benefit for being an employee.
When I read the attachment that you sent out, I was going to bring it up, but I don't know if this is the spot, where it talks about proof of residency.
Yes.
Is that in here?
Yeah, that's on section 2, page 2.
I wondered how we serve, homeless people or people in the shelter. How do they prove their residency?
So
or they just out of luck?
We don't. So, yeah, so under, where is it? Wait a minute, where is it? Oh, sorry. So under section 1.0, we do state that library cards will not be issued to people without a permanent residence. So those individuals are more than welcome to come into the library, to attend programs, to read books, to use the computers. They just cannot check out items or get a card without a permanent residence.
So if they're a homeless shelter, that doesn't count as a residency?
No, because it's not a permanent residence. It's
That's the key, is permanent.
yeah, and obviously people move, right, in an apartment, but the idea is that is this a place that you're living that's designed as a temporary housing? If it's any form of a temporary housing, then we don't let you get a card. So. We also don't issue it to businesses, because I've had, like, what if the halfway house itself, for example, had a card tied to the business? And after talking with my team, because I asked about making that change, we've done it in the past, and it was a headache every time, because it's like, oh, this book didn't get returned. Oh, well, that wasn't, and then it just became a big problem. So that's why we don't do that.
There are ways we could serve that population, like if you have books from the Friends of the Library
Yeah.
that aren't sold, they could be.
For sure, yeah, like donated books and stuff, yeah, but it just caused lots of problems to issue library cards. So. Okay, any questions, concerns, or comments on this policy change?
Okay. Can I get a motion for the change to the library?
I'll make that motion to accept the changes.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, our next discussion.
Wait, you gotta
Vote.
Oh, every time. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are passing the library card policy.
They stopped by to say hi, told them they're in a meeting.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Oh, should I told them the
Okay, next is the internet policy.
Yep, internet access and computer use policy. So this is the one, just per state law, we have to review it and update it every 3 years. I reviewed it with my team and reviewed it with the attorney, and literally just like 2 or 3 minor grammar fixes and a clarification. So on page 1, we just broke up the paragraph in 1.1.1 into 2 paragraphs rather than the single one, and then just added any of the following to clarify that
You got one?
our patrons cannot.
Okay.
Here, Berna, do you want to? Berna, we can hear your background.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're good. User. So just to clarify that, obviously we have filtering in place, and people cannot access child pornography, harmful to minors, or obscene in accordance with Utah State Code or online gambling sites. And if we do catch people attempting to access those, then they are subject to the punishments and the standards of conduct policy. So. And then just under policy enforcement in 3.4, just added clarification for like what's the different tiers of enforcement of this policy. Those are just referenced in the standards of conduct. Like, hey, you're kicked out for a day, you're kicked out for a month, or you're done. Send me a letter in 10 years to see if you can get back in the library. Any questions, concerns, or comments on this policy?
No.
Okay.
Okay, can we get a motion on the internet policy?
I will move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the internet policy changes have been approved.
Okay. Next is the community and reading room policy. So this policy change is formalizing a practice that we have that we found was a little cumbersome with the community and with specifically the reading rooms. Specifically, we had a form that we'd say, hey, if you want to use the reading room or the community room, hey, you got to fill this out stating like who you are, why are you using the room, when do you need it, and all that stuff. And that, hey, you accept that if you leave cigarette burns in the carpet, you're paying for that, right? Well, what we found is like a lot of people would just walk up and say, hey, I just want to step in the reading room to read books quietly. It's like, oh, here's a form. We have to spend 5 minutes filling it. Like, so what we did is that in sections 2.2 and 2.3, I've clarified that we have 2 different processes for the community room versus the reading rooms. Because the reading rooms are glass and they're very easily monitored. Like you can't hide what you're doing in there. It's very easy to see, oh, that person's causing wanton property destruction or whatever. Whereas the community room is off, as you can tell, is segregated. It's its own thing.
Excuse me, this is the community
Yes,
room.
what we're in right now is the community room. So I just clarified that to reserve the community room, adult members of the public or outside organizations must fill out a meeting room application form found on the Tooele City Library website or in person at the library and submit the completed form to the library director for approval. Requests will be reviewed in a timely manner. So we're clarifying you have to be an adult to reserve this community room. However, for the reading rooms in 2.3, to reserve one of the reading rooms, any member of the public aged 9 or older who complies with Section 9 of the Standards of Conduct policy may request the use of the room, and the request will be reviewed and approved by the library director or authorized staff member.
So there's no form.
So there's no form unless they may be like, hey, I need it for the next 3 days. Or, hey, I need it for an hour every Thursday for a month. Then at that point we'd say, okay, here's the form, so that way we can put you down, hey, you're requesting it these 4 days. And we only allow up to 4 reservations at a time.
How
So
often does this room get reserved, used?
it gets used pretty decently. Some weeks it's like nothing, but then other weeks I have people like, hey, sorry, it's booked. What we found is since the Parks and Rec department opened their community rooms that they have for reservation at the new Parks and Rec building, our demand has dropped. But that's also because theirs is way better.
So maybe like...
They have like a full kitchenette and everything.
Oh.
Five times a month or...
Oh, more than that. Several times a week usually.
Oh, okay, well.
It depends. Some weeks there's nothing, but then other weeks it's like every night. So yeah, I'd say
It's a
3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, that surprises, wow.
Yeah.
There was an old office building
Right by the cemetery. Yeah.
It's like a house that,
Okay.
there's a house right next to it in the back.
Okay, I'll have to try to find that. I didn't know they built a new building.
It was,
It's not.
it was renovated.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and it's got 2 community rooms on the top floor that's like maybe double the size of this room, has a full
Wow.
kitchen thing, and yeah. So,
And it's
So-
inexpensive.
yeah, it's like $70 for rental. And I have no plans to add a charge to use this community room unless like the demand gets too high. Like if it gets to the point where like people are constantly trying to book it, I might consider doing that, but at this time it's not used enough.
Are
to
these
work.
like groups or individuals that are just going to have their?
Groups usually, like there was a Lego group, like they build Lego stuff that was here literally 30 minutes before you guys got here. So we got like
Stepped on something.
the Tooele County Quilting Association
Tooele County What Association?
quilting.
Oh,
We'll reserve it.
nice big table.
I don't know if
Yeah, it's
there's
a perfect
if it's a political season, we'll get all the candidates. We'll want to reserve it.
Yeah.
Sometimes very last minute, and I'm like, sorry, someone else is already using it, and then yeah. So.
That's
With
interesting.
the reading room, is it just sort of like at the information desk? It's like,
Yes.
can I read in there? Like, okay.
Yeah. So, and I've told staff, like, I delegate that part, the reading room part, to the staff 99% of the time. I'll only review those requests if it's like they're questioning, like, hey, does this violate policy, right? Because mainly the main restrictions we have against in these rooms is like, don't do anything illegal and don't run a shop out of it. Like, if you want to have a business meeting, that's fine. But if you bring your stuff and you're setting up a little booth and you're starting to sell items, right, that's where it's like, okay, that's not what these are for. So, okay, any questions on that? And then we also just wanted to clarify, adults only for this room, but then for the reading rooms, if like a 9-year-old kid wants to go in there and play a board game or read a book, all more power to him. So, okay.
Okay, can we get a motion, please?
Is there any more changes we need to do then?
Second?
I'll say.
Okay, perfect.
What?
We had
All
more
in favor?
changes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the community room and reading room policy has been updated and approved.
Sweet. Oh, wait, I have one more quick thing. There's now a Twitter account for the library. So I've expanded,
I don't even-
X, whatever you want to call it.
I'm not that old.
So I've recently created that, essentially just whatever's posted on Facebook, I'm also posting there. Because the city has one, they have about 1,000 followers. We have 1 follower, me. So if any of you use X or Twitter and you want to hop on there and give
Do
the
you have an
library a follow.
Instagram as well?
Yes, we now have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. X.
I'm so old.
So
Awesome.
anyway, so there we go. So if you want to give that a
Get a
follow,
TikTok next.
we are not, as long as I am director, we will probably not get a TikTok. We will post only the cringiest videos to Facebook. Anyway. Okay. and then-
Okay. We have some board members stepping down. Melody Barnett, Berna Sloan, and myself, Crystal. We have served our 3-year term, so we are we're stepping down. Eric is also stepping down, but for different reasons. Would you like to elaborate?
My wife and I are going on a mission to Chicago, Illinois
That's amazing.
for 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then we have over here, this is Denise. She works for the city in the business licensing, right? Yep. And so I interviewed her this week, and I'm recommending her to, the mayor's approved, and we're working through the process. So hopefully she'll be joining us at the next meeting for real. So I'll make sure you'll get one of these nice plaques and everything. So, and then I've got 3 other persons as well that are lined up. So hopefully they pan out as well for the board.
Will that
Were you
put us at a
recruiting?
full board?
Yes.
9 is full.
Did you recruit or did they come to you?
So Denise came to us, but I recruited one person. So I recruited one person, and 2 people had talked to me several months ago about it, and then I reached out to them and said, hey, it's posted. You can go ahead and apply. We actually had more applications than openings this time, which
Nice.
was new. So So it was good. And I had my staff help me interview several of them this week and got all that taken care of.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, for the minutes of the January 1st, sorry, I was reading it. January 23rd, 2025 meeting notes. Are there any issues, corrections? Since I wasn't here at the last meeting, I just have a question.
Yes.
So did you remove all of the hotspots? Like, is that no longer an option
Yes.
to? That's
So-
interesting. I was wondering, I kind of back in my mind.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the hotspots, we had 12 of them. Well, okay, we had 25, but I already deactivated most of them. But I just did the math on how many checkouts they were getting versus the cost. And it was like, for the cost of them, I could order 2 more months worth of books. So it was an easy cost
Yeah.
cost versus benefit analysis to me. So.
I guess I didn't realize that. What was a stuffed animal sleepover? Did that literally
Oh.
kids come in and sleep in the library?
No, so the kids brought their stuffed animal. They left them the stuffed animals at the
Oh, the
library.
animal slept over, not the
Yeah,
kennel.
yeah.
I was trying to picture.
A bunch of kids coming and sleeping over in the library. I would do that.
So then
Yeah, where would that be?
our teen advisory council helped with that, and so then they had the stuffed animals, and then they took photos and video of them like playing in the library. They were
Oh.
shelving books. They were watching a movie in here, and then they made a video of that and put it on Facebook. You can find it
that
on
was cool.
on the
How many
city's.
did they have?
Oh, we had.
So many.
Oh yeah, it was like at least 40,
Oh my
probably
gosh.
40 of them.
Yeah, I was surprised how.
No, I showed the video to my kids because they dropped off their 2 stuffed animals, and they were in rapture. They were like,
Oh, that's pretty
"This is
cool.
so cool!" It was so fun.
My
So
daughter was the giant sloth.
yes,
It's
dude.
like, they read the story. She didn't stop
Were they all in
telling.
here or did they scatter
Yeah, no,
around?
they took like put pictures of them in here. They took pictures of them out there. They took a picture of eating pizza and it was all sorts of fun. So
That's
So
so
cute.
Okay,
Cool.
we need to vote on the meeting.
That's
Sorry.
innovative, that's nice.
yeah, you need to vote to approve them.
Okay. Just the 8 yays and nays.
Yeah, so you got motion and all that stuff.
Well, I'll move that we approve.
Okay. One second.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I'm never sure if I'm supposed to vote again. If I second
Yeah,
it, do I also?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you're seconding the motion to bring it to a vote, and then you
And
have to
then
do the
everybody
actual vote.
votes.
Oh, spill, okay.
All right. January meetings notes have been approved. All right. Next meeting date.
So usually we try to avoid summer. So last time we did September. So would the September work for everyone? So let me see, the 3rd Thursday of September is
18.
September 18th. Does that pose a problem for anyone?
Not yet.
Could change in a couple months.
So September 18th at 7 p.m. I'll send out a reminder and all that. So library board meeting. And I also found out we'll address this in when the new library board comes in at that meeting. But we're supposed to set the meeting dates for the whole year,
Oh.
Oh.
not after each one. So we'll take care of that at the
I
next
don't
one.
like that idea at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there one that's supposed to be the beginning of the year?
Yeah, it's the first one after July 1st.
And you can say no.
And that's when you like re-vote on the different board positions and stuff like that. So we'll do all that in September. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
No, I have to motion to adjourn.
We have to do that too?
Yes.
All right, Eric, you're up.
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Vote for that too. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Berna.
You all have a nice summer.
Same to you.
Hey, only 35 minutes.
Awesome.
Much better than your first meeting, Eric,
Do I get to
right?
keep this?
Yeah, you can keep it.
You're gonna come back, right?
In 18 months, I better be back. You mean here in this?
Good luck on your mission.
Thank you.
When do you leave?
Cool.
Second of June.